JJ began abusing opioids after using them for a wrestling injury. He eventually tried heroin and became addicted quickly. In 2016, JJ went to the emergency room for his son's elbow injury and had to leave after only 10 minutes because he began feeling withdrawal symptoms. He left the hospital before the doctors could even see his son. JJ's story, found in a CDC article from 2020, is just one in millions of tragic stories of addiction throughout the country and the world. The information in this presentation is a result of our group's extensive research using reliable sources, including the CDC's website and Indiana's government website. But why should you care? The opioid epidemic is increasingly affecting the lives of millions around the country. According to a 2018 article by the American Psychiatric Association, quote, nearly a third of Americans say they know someone who is or has been addicted to opioids or prescription painkillers, end quote. The opioid epidemic is not a problem distant from us or a disease that affects only other people. It is an issue that has made its way into Americans' homes and society. Today, we will illustrate the extent of this epidemic and propose two local solutions for the problem, which include working with Boiler Works and taking mental health first aid classes. So now that I have introduced the topic of this presentation, our credibility, and its relevance, I will dive into the depths of this problem nationwide and specifically right here in Lafayette. In 2018, more than 67,000 Americans died from drug overdoses, according to the CDC. And of that number, 70% were due to opioids, either prescribed or illicit. This statistic was found on a spring 2020 article on Purdue's nursing webpage. And the following graphics concerning the opioid problem are from Indiana State Department of Health 2019 study. So there are many harmful drugs, but opioids continue to be the most frequently found substance in overdose deaths. According to the Indiana government website, 3 out of 5 Hoosier overdoses each day involve an opioid. So as you can see, the overall overdose deaths in Indiana increased from 2016 to 2017, as did the opioid overdoses, jumping from 12.6 to 18.8 per 100,000 people. Furthermore, 63% of overdoses in Indiana involved opioids, while only 37% did not. But now I will focus on Tippecanoe County specifically. According to the Indiana government website, updated in 2020, there are 5 top opioids in Tippecanoe County. These are oxycodone, acetaminophen oxycodone, buprenorphine naloxone, tramadol, which had 3,559 hospital dispensations in Q3 of 2020, and acetaminophen hydrocodone, which had 10,709 dispensations in Q3 of 2020. So as you can see, the dispensation rate of opioids from 2017 to 2020 in Tippecanoe County are lower than the rate throughout the entire state, but not significantly given the size of the county. In 2019, there were 119 emergency department visits due to any opioid and 26 deaths. The opioid epidemic is not due only to prescription opioids, however. In the middle to late 2000s, the opioid epidemic hit the country and county in a new form, heroin, a cheaper alternative to legal medications. Then in 2014, illicitly manufactured fentanyl, or IMF, and fentanyl analogs, which are cheaper and more potent than heroin, emerged. So as you can see, heroin and fentanyl are increasingly contributing to the opioid problem in Indiana. I will now outline the differences in demographics affected by the opioid epidemic. So as you can see, while opioid overdoses have increased for all, the increase in Indiana's opioid overdose rates between 2014 and 2017 is significantly larger for males than females. In fact, in 2017, males made up 64% of all Indiana overdose deaths, which is a trend followed by opioid-involved overdose deaths. But risk for women has increased over the years. Overall, the vast majority of deaths are among those who are between 18 and 60, but As this graphic shows, those between 30 and 39 years of age are at higher risk of opioid overdoses in Indiana, accounting for about 30% in 2017. Now, the following graphic shows that traditionally the white population has been affected by the opioid epidemic, but that in recent years, the Black population has experienced an increase in opioid overdoses. In 2017, the white population made up more than 80% of overdose deaths, and the Black population made up only 11%. But there have been increases for all races, specifically a more aggressive rise for the Black population. So you have learned the types of opioids and who and how many they are hospitalizing or killing today. Furthermore, Elena will elaborate later on the correlation between mental illness and substance abuse. But now that you know how devastating the opioid epidemic is around the country and in Tippecanoe County, you may be wondering if there are any solutions to this huge problem. Connor will answer your question and illustrate one solution to this issue.
The good news is that Purdue already has some resources for students that have to deal with opioid addictions. The first of which is the Boiler Works Initiative by the Purdue Department of Pharmacy. Now, I'll bet you didn't know this existed because neither did I prior to this project. That's the problem with a lot of these things. They exist, but nobody knows about them. So how are we going to fix that? Well, we propose creating infographics to place around campus, such as these. They'll present a few staggering statistics about the opioid crisis, particularly in the West Lafayette area. And it will allow students to see that we have these resources. It will tell them where they can go for more information, how they can get involved, things like that. Now, you may be wondering, where will we put these infographics around campus? Well, here we have a map of locations that we were intending to post these infographics. As you can see, all of the dining courts on campus are circled. That's because those are the high traffic areas on campus where we believe that the most students will see the posters and they will do the most good. Additionally, if we can get a larger coordinated effort, we would be open to posting them in residence halls, which are also highly trafficked. Finally, social media is a great place to get the word out about anything nowadays. And so many Purdue students are on either Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, or likely all three nowadays. So we would propose posting on the Purdue social media accounts, and not just the official social media accounts, but any social media account associated with Purdue that's willing to partner with us. We would post a similar infographic on their social media pages to help spread the word. Now on to Elena for our second solution to this opioid crisis.
Another potential solution Purdue already has is through the Purdue Extension Program, which offers mental health first aid. According to the 2020 Purdue Extension website, Mental Health First Aid is a course to educate individuals about how to interact with and support someone who may be developing a mental health issue or experiencing a crisis. Some of the topics included in this course are anxiety, depression, gaining new perspectives about the stigma surrounding mental health, and substance abuse. These classes are available to Purdue students in the greater West Lafayette area. However, one problem that is presented is that not very many people or students are aware of the opportunities that Purdue Extensions has to offer. By now, you may be wondering how a mental health first aid class can help with opioid use. There are many sources that show a correlation between mental health and substance abuse. In his 2018 article, Trevor McDonald states that more than 40% of people who live with addiction also have another mental health challenge. A 2016 study done by St. Louis University found that 10% of over 100,000 patients prescribed opioids developed depression after a month of using them. As seen in the 2020 graph by Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, there is a clear correlation between mental illnesses and substance abuse. Furthermore, as seen, both of these rates increase as time continues. This goes to show that the rates of both mental illness and substance use have been increasing these past few years. All of these statistics show a clear connection between substance abuse and mental health. In particular, people that have drug and opioid problems are likely to have mental health issues. The mental first aid class will help decrease the rate of opioid abuse by providing those who are struggling with mental health support. By helping people mentally, the program can encourage others to ask for help instead of turning to substances such as opioids first. This in turn will lower the rate of substance use. Furthermore, these classes can help students understand how to help their friends and peers with mental health problems so that more people can be helped. Overall, by educating students about the dangers and providing support before addiction, we can help decrease the use of opioids at Purdue and in the greater West Lafayette area. As mentioned before, one problem is present in this program is the fact that not very many students know about it or its benefits. This hinders participation by the student body to learn about the importance of mental health and dangers of substances such as opioids. In order to combat this, students can petition the university administration to make these class resources more easily accessible. Then, more students have access to these classes so that they can spread the message to combat opioid use in the area. In present times, Purdue Extension has converted their classes to online rather than in person. This fits the college students' daily lives better since they are more flexible and involve less travel time as opposed to in-person classes. Therefore, by asking administration to make these resources more easily accessible through technology and websites such as Brightspace or email, more people are more likely to take the class. This could work similar to the way that the Respecting Boundaries course we had to take earlier this semester. In this case, students were not able to register for their classes for next semester if they did not finish the course in time. If the administration does not want to make it required for students, there could be other incentives to take the class, such as a small tuition benefit or easy free participation prizes like a t-shirt or gift cards. Overall, Purdue already has a resource available to help support those who are struggling with mental health and drug abuse, yet it is not widely known. Through this program, people can have support and more people will understand how to help others. In order to publicize this opportunity and promote mental health, especially in the perspective of drug abuse, students should petition Purdue administration to make these opportunities more easily accessible through technology such as email or Brightspace. Now that you know about the connection between mental health and opioid usage, you can see that Purdue's Extension mental health class can help reduce opioid use and provide support to those who need it. By petitioning the university to make these resources more easily accessible, we can help form an opioid-free society. Now back to Connor to wrap things up.
Do you remember JJ from the beginning of this presentation? Well, when he went to the hospital and had to leave because he was facing withdrawal, he realized something. He realized that his opioid addiction was harming his son, and that made him realize he needed to get help. So he went out of state to rehab and is now 3 years recovered. This is JJ, his picture. In order to continue to help these struggling members of our society, we ask that you join us in the fight against the opioid epidemic, especially here in Indiana. We know the problems, we know the solutions. So help us to fight this tragic epidemic. Here are the first several of our sources. The next several. And the last two. Thank you for listening to our presentation. We hope you've learned something, and we hope that we have shown you how much of an issue this opioid epidemic is. Thank you.